Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with tier limits once again. This is quite different from a lot of tier limits builds I've played on the channel lately. I usually do like to stick more for a 40 card deck for tier limits typically, but I found this list while perusing some of the top decks by win rate on Untapped. This particular tier list that was 60 cards, so I figured I would go ahead and try it out. Also, there's just a lot of different things that are really good in tier limit that I really want to play, such as the Horus engine, and honestly, Gammas too. Gamma's definitely not too shabby in a deck that's like milling this much, especially with a bunch of stuff like the grass, because we're on 40 cards, then we've got like the thrust and stuff like that, plus the walls, and also King Sark and Imseti, Shiren in hand. These are all cards that are very often chained to when you have no monsters on the field. So definitely pretty good to try out the Gamma here. I've been warming up to Gamma a lot lately in this meta. I think I've made a video in the I've made a video in the past that's like, I'm never playing this stupid card again, talking about Gamma. But I really think it does often come down to just like being conscious of the deck that you put it in. I mean, you can play Gamma in just about any deck, right? But you know, I've been pretty disappointed when I try to jam Gamma into a deck like Fire King Snake Eye, where you're pretty consistently making plays while you have monsters on the field. But again, for a deck like this, we're making plenty of plays without monsters on the field. Also, Yubel is another good example where I've been pretty satisfied with Gamma's performance in the deck. So yeah, not a hand trap that I think goes into every single deck, but there are a fair number of decks in this particular meta that you definitely don't mind playing the Gamma in. One extra deck difference that I did notably make here is that instead of the El Shadal Winda, I am on the Earth Golem Adagnister. I'm not against playing Winda. I think I've talked about this a couple of times in the past couple of tier limit videos where like, I'm not against playing Winda, and I actually came very, very close to crafting her this time around, because I am sitting on some more UR craft materials than I'm used to having. But this time the reason I didn't craft Winda, honestly, is because of the alt art. The possibility of getting an alt art Winda in the future is definitely pretty tantalizing to me, and if there's going to be Winda among multiple alt arts in the pack, then I feel like it doesn't really make a lot of sense for me to craft one if we're just going to get the alt art one at some point in the future, right? We definitely don't know when, because it's even kind of like trickling out the alt art cards here and there, but would definitely love an alt art window. So I'm going to hold off for the time being. We're playing the Earth Golem Adagnister as another super poly target instead. I'm actually very glad that I put this in, because this card has come up in, I think, even one of the replays that we're going to see here. We'll see Earth Golem Adagnister put in some real work as a good super poly target. Well, I guess to be fair, it's super poly putting in the work. It's just that you need the target for it. And again, Earth Golem can help with quite a few decks where Mud Dragon and Garura might not be enough. So I don't know that this build is doing anything like particularly adventurous. We're not playing the adventure engine, which you could actually play in tier limit if you really wanted to. But yeah, no. Again, I think we're just doing a bunch of the stuff that you would kind of expect to see. One of the reasons I played 60 cards here is that I really, really wanted to resolve grass, but alas, did not manage to really even draw it. It's been so long since I've resolved a grass. Despite putting grass in a number of decks recently, I just can't find myself seeming to draw the card. Not that you need to for a build like this. You could play more Thrust if you really wanted to. Maybe over stuff like maybe like a second Heartbeat or something. Or Call Buys. You don't actually have to play Call Buys in this deck, which sounds kind of weird, but you know, Tier Limit actually has like a really, really solid play through Max C. That is, of course, using Kit Close to go for either Celiac or Crime, just kind of depending on what's in your hand, but so yeah, you don't even really need the Call Buys. Actually, the build that I found was on 3 Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, which I thought was a bit much. I definitely don't think that Rainbow Bridge of Salvation is a bad card, and I could even see maybe playing a second copy in a 60-card deck to mill it a little more often. But 3, especially because we're only on the 4 field spells, I think is a little bit much, in my opinion. What else is there to really say about Tearlament? I don't know, it's just kind of funny and cool, I think, too, that, you know, despite all the hits this deck has taken, I would definitely still call this in the top 5 decks of Master Duel right now. In fact, I'd call this probably number 4, in my opinion. So it's just nice to have a deck that... You know, admittedly, it is inherently pretty overpowered. Like, all this stuff definitely needs to be limited, but it's cool to see a deck get neutered this much and then still be able to do so much. And Tearlament is the kind of deck that I really love in particular, because there are so many different ways to play it. The way that it plays leads you to naturally be able to try out a lot of different engines and archetypes that you can experiment with it. I think that Tearlament is... There's a reason that it's beloved, right? Even when it was, like, undisputedly the most powerful deck and we were in a Tier 0 format, it was still quite a beloved deck. And again, I think with good reason, so... Oh, I know one other thing I wanted to say about this build. Revolution Synchron. I am definitely looking to play this card in Tearlament again sometime soon. It's actually been a hot minute, but I think that Rev Synchron actually does quite a bit for Tearlament. Beyond just, like, you know, making it easier to go into Baron, it gives you also the option to go into Ancient Fairy Dragon and Black Rose Dragon, which are two pretty strong cards for this deck. I just felt like, you know, if you're going to be on 3 Rainbow Bridge of Salvation because you value field spells that much, then... You know, surely there must be some amount of room for, like, the Ancient Fairy Dragon, right? And then, of course, also the Rev Synchron that can go into it. So, definitely a good card choice that I'm looking to try again at some point in the near future. But, anyway, yeah, I think that'll go ahead and do it for the kind of deck breakdown here. So, let's go ahead and list out the cards, and then we'll start watching some replays. So... we are on 1 Psyframe Driver, 3 Maxi, 2 Psyframe Gear Gamma, 1 Crystal Beast Emerald Tortoise, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Tearlament's Havness, 1 Perform Mage Trick Clown, 1 Fairy Tale Snow, 2 Supreme Sea Mare, 2 Tearlament Shiren, 3 Tearlament's Rhino Heart, 1 Keldo, the Sacred Protector, 1 Mudora, the Sword Oracle, 1 Destrudo, the Lost Dragon's Fission, 1 Kashtira Fenrir, 1 Tearlament's Kashtira, 3 Imseti, Glory of Horus, 1 Dumatef, Blessing of Horus, 1 Hoppy, Guidance of Horus, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Foolish Burial Goods, 1 That Grass Looks Greener, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, 2 Tearlament's Grief, 1 Triple Tactics Thrust. We got 1 Primeval Planet's Pearl Rhino, 1 Pressured Planet Wraithsoth, 2 Walls of the Imperial Tomb, 3 Tearlament Scream, 2 King Sarcophagus, 3 Super Polymerization, 2 Called by the Grave, 2 Tearlament's Heartbeat, 1 Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, 1 Tearlament's Meta Noise, 1 Trivikarma, 1 Tearlament's Crime, and finally 1 Tearlament's Soliac. And that is going to do it for our 60-card main deck. For the extra deck, we're on 1 Muddragon of the Swamp, 1 Tearlament's Kiklos, 1 Garura Wings of Resonant Life, 1 Earth Golem at Ignister, 1 Predaplanet Dragostapelia, 1 Tearlament's Rolkalos, 1 Tearlament's Kaleidoheart, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Psychic End Punisher, 1 Time Thief Redoer, 1 number 60 Dugaris the Timeless, 1 the Zombie Vampire, 1 Divine Arsenal Ah, Zeus Sky Thunder, 1 IP Masquerena, and finally 1 SP Little Knight. Whew, that is going to do it for our list. Let's go ahead and take a look at these games. Okay, our first opponent is going to be on Fire King Snake Eye. I think we're going second for this game, if I recall correctly, so... yep, looks like we are. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, very, very good going second hand we have here. We have Gamma, Super Poly, Triple Tech, and a Rhino Heart to finish it off as well. Opponent's going to lead with Prosperity for 3, revealing Ponix, Imperm, and Effect Veiler. They ultimately took Imperm. One thing to note is that during the actual game, my opponent actually took quite a bit of time to think about this, which even very small things like that can give you information about what's in your opponent's hand, right? The fact that my opponent activated Prosperity, revealed Ponix and 2 negates, and didn't immediately snap up the Ponix tells me, okay, they definitely already have a starter in their hand. Taking Imperm over Veiler on turn 1 isn't too surprising, but again, always worth noting the little bits of information you can glean from not only cards your opponent reveals, but also how they react as a result. So, and indeed, here is their starter. It's going to be Ulcanix, which I'm actually going to use the Gamma on. So Gamma is kind of interesting to try to use against Fire King Snake-Eye because it does destroy, but I figured I'd rather deal with the high Garudix being on the field or old Garudix rather, than, you know, Ulcanix comboing out. But unfortunately for me, they just opened the one of new Garudix, so they're actually able to continue to do their combo, even in spite of me negating there. So I think that just kind of came down to luck. I think in a lot of situations where the Ulcanix would have gotten popped, they would have summoned old Garudix and likely just set a card and pass. I think that would probably happen slightly more often than, you know, them having... Well, again, this kind of comes down to if they have the extender or not. To be fair, our opponent also... No, with Ulcanix they use their normal summon, never mind. I was going to say still at a normal summon, but... okay, so they're ending on the Promethean Princess plus the Arvada, which does not look like a lot, but is actually quite good. Because basically the idea is if I activate a monster effect, Arvada can pop Promethean Princess to negate it. Then that will let the Garudix come back. They could potentially send Kieran to pop another one of my cards. And then, of course, there's also the Promethean Princess in the yard as well. But... as mentioned, we are playing one particular Super Poly target that makes us not have to deal with this at all. And that's Mud Dragon of the Swamp. No, I thought for some reason this was the Earthgolem Magnestra. I totally got mixed up there. I think that does come up in another game here, but... Oh, because I saw the Link monster and I was like, oh yeah, this is like, you know, Snake-Eye. That's where Earthgolem comes up. But no, with that board in particular, we can just use the Mud Dragon. Where the Earthgolem Magnestra does come up against Snake-Eye is if they have like IP plus the, you know, Promethean Princess or Raging Phoenix or Ambler Whale. That's a Link plus a Cyberse, and that you can use Super Poly to go into the Earthgolem Magnestra. Here, we just had a good old-fashioned Super Poly for Mud Dragon, and that turned out to be it from our opponent, which makes sense because, again, they lose out on literally everything that I mentioned, right? They can't Arvada pop the Promethean Princess to negate, which would get them back the new Garunix, which would send to the Kieran, which would pop another one of my cards, which would summon something else, and then Promethean Princess later. Yeah, they do not get to do any of that, so good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and check out our next duel here. Alright, so we got a tier mirror for this one, a tier limit to mirror match, and our opponent is on the Revolution Synchron as well as tuning to search it, so they are very dedicated to that Rev Synchron. We're going to be taking the first turn here, and our hand is not looking super duper great. Well, I mean, we have the tier limit's Grief, but spoiler alert, it is going to get... Oh, responded to with Maxi. I thought I got Ash Blossom in this game. No, Maxi is, not that great for us. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and just summon the Tier Cash and mill 2 cards instead of like trying to pull out the Rhino Heart, I think is what I would have done here. Yeah, if it weren't for the Maxi, we could have used Tier Grief to special Rhino Heart, and then Rhino Heart we could have set the Heartbeat to special the Rhino Heart, and then Rhino Heart of course sends Happiness, and then we go into our combo line. I don't know, I guess to be fair, I probably still should have done that. It would have given my opponent 1 extra draw, which is really not the end of the world. Yeah, you know, in hindsight, I will say that I think I made a misplay here. I think I should have given my opponent 1 more draw and done the play that I mentioned, which is, again, Grief to special, then send Rhino. Rhino send the Heartbeat to special. Oh, that would give them 2 extra draws, though, not just the 1, right? See, that's where it starts to become not as worth it, in my opinion. If you're giving your opponent 3 draws off of Maxi, that's a lot. Especially to end on, like, Kikolos Crime or Kikolos Soleik is like, I don't know. It's debatable, I think. So, they're going to go for the Pearl Rhino here. We do have the Heartbeat, so I can go ahead and just shuffle that back and pitch. I think I was going to pitch Trivikarma, but I pitched Keldo here because I found out they were on tier. I probably should have still just pitched Trivikarma, though. I don't know. I guess I was more focused on stopping plays than enabling my own here, which also could have been a misplay. It's all about perspective, right? And it might not even necessarily inherently be a misplay, because really, stopping my opponent's plays in a situation like this is about as important as making my own. However, it just so happened that with all these mills here, my opponent was not able to get to anything substantial, right? And especially being on a 40-card build, I think they got pretty unlucky. But in hindsight, yeah, I definitely should have pitched the Trivikarma. Although, again, not just in hindsight, as I was talking through the plays, you know, I was like, you know, maybe valuing my own plays was a little bit better. I guess we do have the Foolish Burial Goods here. We can send the Soleik, and then we can use Soleik's effect to grab the Rhino Heart. Normal summon Rhino Heart. They get to mill 3 off of screen, but we get our plays going here. Oh, never mind. They have a Soliac. So JK on that one. Alright, there is the Shiren. They also milled Tier Cash there as well, so they get to mill a couple more cards. Thankfully, we do actually have the Keldo in the yard, so... I don't know, again, it's kind of debatable with the way things played out here, whether it would have been better to send the Keldo or the Trivikarma. I guess the Keldo's a moot point because they have the Gamma, although we do also have the Mudora on the field, so... I could have also just summoned Mudora. I think that was actually the right play, right? I should have just pitched Trivikarma and normal Mudora and had both options. Duh, why didn't I just do that? Oh, I can't believe I just thought of that. I forgot the Shufflers work while face up on the field. I won't until it actually happened. I won't lie to you. That is really what it came down to for me, I think. But that is no excuse. It is still a misplay for sure. Yeah, and being able to search Pearl Rhino off their own Trivikarma here is pretty much just going to secure the game for my opponent at this point. Because yeah, I don't. Well, no, I don't have anything. Yeah, because I don't have any Shufflers left in the yard. So yeah. I think I concede pretty shortly here because, oh, they milled the Destrudo again, too. That's also pretty brutal. Yeah, no, they can just have it at this point. Yeah, no, I definitely think that even with... So, like, this is something that I always talk about when evaluating your replays, right? Or just evaluating plays in general. It's so easy to be like, yes, because throughout the course of the game, you were missing out on gas, it was right to have sent Trivikarma. But I think it is also important to keep in mind the information you had at the point in time that you actually made the decision, right? I didn't know how the game was going to play out, but however, you know, as I said before, even in the frame of mind of that turn, I think I still should have just sent Trivikarma and normal summon Mudora. So, yeah, that was a misplay on my part. I think, would it have mattered, though? Because they did have the Soliac for the Rhino that I got off the Foolish Goods. But with the Trivikarma, I still could have potentially searched, like... I don't know, I was going to say Shiren, but I didn't really have any other cards in hand, maybe Havness or something, by grabbing, like, Pearl Rhino. Who knows? I mean, there's an argument, though, to be made for sure. At the same time, if I didn't have both Shufflers, you know, the Gamma would have negated the one Shuffler, and they would have gotten to summon Kikolos sooner, and the game might have ended sooner. So I think either way is probably going to be my loss, but I think it's important to just, like, stay... objective and keep in mind the information you had in the moment when evaluating replays. So anyway, I got one more game we're going to show off here. Let's finish off with that one. And our final game is going to be against Horus Sprite. This is going to be a bit of a short one if I recall correctly, but Horus Sprite is on a combo that I think I've seen before. But it kind of makes sense. Our opponent's on double Angler, and the idea is that like you could just send Angler with King Sark or Imseti. I feel like you should be maxing out on Nimble Angler if that's the case, but... Alright, Imseti activating here, going to pitch itself alongside the Melfi Penny. Melfi Penny is what clued me in that it was probably Sprite. King Sark pitching a Nibiru here, going to send the Hoppy. Alright, here comes the Imseti and the Hoppy. Those are then going to get overlaid into the number 90, if I recall correctly. And then they're going to start doing Sprite plays, which is... I think probably my favorite way to... Yep, there's normal summon Maxi, gotta love it. Best Sprite starter in the game right there. Yeah, no, I think that what our opponent did with the number 90 here is like one of my favorite uses of the Horus engine in a lot of decks. Which is kind of funny because we're not playing number 90 in our extra deck. I kind of wanted to, but I just didn't have room for it. But and that's to set up the number 90 before you actually go into your plays, and then basically you are hand trap proof. And indeed... you know, I was not really able to nib because of the number 90 here. Granted, the same would have been true for Gigantic as well, but also they're only just now summoning Gigantic, so if they had played this way before, they definitely would have played into the nib. So, definitely good that they made the number 90 first. Although you could also argue they might have made Gigantic earlier if they didn't have the number 90 to not play into the nib. This, I think, was a huge misplay. I don't know why my opponent pitched Ash Blossom to... King Sark, only to then also use Sprite Elf's effect. I mean, yeah, I guess they just go for the IP here. But if I recall correctly, they just pitched another Imseti, right? Because that's like the only thing they had. Yeah, they're only on Imseti and Hoppy, so... Maybe it was a misclick or something, I don't know, but I definitely, yeah, obviously I think they should have held on to the Ash Blossom here. Alright, so we got a pretty decent board to contend with. I'm going to lead with the Pressured Planet Raitsoth, and that will let me grab the Fenrir. Looks like they're going to use the Elf for Jet right away, which actually makes sense to have the Jet on the field sooner rather than later, to potentially use with IP or maybe with Red or Carrot. But to my surprise, my opponent goes into IP and actually goes for the Underworld Goddess, which I don't think was like a horrible play. I was just a little confused because that eats up their red as well as their material for the Jet without really honestly doing that much with it, in my opinion. So I don't know, that I thought that was a bit weird to go for Goddess that early, especially because, like, I mean, I guess to be fair, if I rate Soth for Fenrir, you can be reasonably likely that I'm on Tearlament and not Kashtira, and maybe they just wanted the Underworld Goddess for the Graveyard Effect negate, like, sooner rather than later, but, Either way, I'm just gonna Rhoda here, see if that baits the Carrot. It doesn't, but it's fine, whatever. Going for the Walls of the Imperial Tomb, putting back my Supreme Sea Mare because I don't need that. Pitching him Seti alongside the Rainbow Bridge, and they concede right here, which I thought was pretty early. I don't know, it's like, I guess to be fair, maybe they were thinking that I would just summon a bunch of horse stuff and start battling over, but I can't battle over number 90, which can negate the Rhino, so I don't know. Either way, I think the Underworld Goddess was made very early as well. I think my opponent's deck was sound in concept, but maybe they just need a little bit more practice with it, that's all. So, okay. That is going to do it for these games and as a result for this video. So thank you as always for watching. Super appreciated. Let's just go ahead and move on now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's again free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.